this 5v5 team composition later on, where you're just playing around Abel, trying to kite it out for him, provide the zoning tools for the fellas to pop off. For JDG's comp, I think it's a lot more interesting. We still don't have a ton of data on this new Tahm Kench just yet, but we have seen it's able to single-handedly take over games. So yeah, Sterix, I'm quite interested to see where JDG's comp goes, because you have champions like LeBlanc that, you know, want to go in. You have champions like Jinx that want to play back, and then you have champions like Tahm Kench, who feels like the new Dr. Mundo, that he goes where he pleases.
That's right, he goes wherever he wants, and we saw the Shy yesterday. You and I cast top Tahm Kench, and it was a joy. If anyone missed out on IG vs Top Esports, it was exactly those words, ridiculous. Watching the Shy have a pop-off performance. Here on Zoom, we have those high expectations. But JDG, we know the team, as you said earlier, they're the team that were kings in 2020. They picked up their own domestic championship. They were in yet another finals with Top Esports in the other split. And against OMG here, they are neck and neck. Both these teams need the series win, because without it, you really face teams like IG making a run, LGD still in the running as well. You drop down, and your playoffs for this split become that much harder. Everything on the line here today. It's all about the run towards playoffs as we enter Summoner's Rift for OMG versus JDG, both 7 and 6 in the standings. And Lyric, as the gyros come through, I'm sure. Zoom on Tahm Kench. That's the news story that I want to start with.
You know, that's what I'm really interested to see, right? Because this is a champion we've only seen once so far in the top lane. We saw yesterday the Shy took over, but Tahm Kench was always a decently strong laning champion, right? He'd always pop up in solo queue in top lane sometimes, but ever since the changes came through, being able to play more damage coming out from your W, the heal's really nice as well. The aggressive options you get from your Abyssal Dive, which, you know, is now your W, and the knock up, the CC, the lower cooldown. There's still a lot of aggressive options that Tahm Kench does have in the top lane, and I feel like one interesting thing we saw yesterday was that with that W, he's able to so easily traverse the front line and get straight on the enemy carry. So for Zoom, he's always going to have that option available, especially when you also have Kanavi on Viego, you have a LeBlanc. It feels like there's a lot of ways for JDG to get straight on top of Abel. You will be leaving Loken by himself, which is also kind of a problem when you have this hyper carry in your AD carry role, but I mean, it feels like we might just get a battle of the top side. If maybe both AD carries go down early in the fights, and then we're going to see which, you know, bruisers and assassins can withstand the onslaught. And just from yesterday, my guess is it's probably going to be Mr. Kench.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be, as we see trading across the map. And while we're looking through, it was level 2 hit first. Your Gal's already started the game quite powerfully. Bottom lane as well, getting the dredge line, and Loken and Loom out dealing with this wave. They'll hit 2 first as well. And Abel and Cole just have to pop a couple of pots and back away. Lyric, as we start this game off, you did talk to me about the topside skirmishing that we have to watch out for. Aki is pathing towards bottom, while Kanavi's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, so gonna have opposing starts. I expect to see Kanavi potentially try to set up for a top gank. Interesting to note as well that new started Doran Shield, not something you quite often see on Renekton, right? You're an aggressive laner, you want to go for D-Blade, but this is decently common from what I just checked in solo queue up against the Tahm Kench matchup. We know Tahm Kench, his Q is on quite a low cooldown. You can go for a lot of consistent trades, but Zoom not looking to contest the wave level 1, which has allowed for New to push in. And surprisingly, Kanavi's actually going to go to the opposite side of the map. He has push in mid, he has push in bot. Seems like he has an idea that this is where Aki is, or maybe just afraid of the pressure that New has on the top side, and we might get a skirmish already.
We might, you know, earlier than expected, right? There is a level lead here, or at least level 3 versus level 3, sorry, from the AD carries. Kanavi starts the scuttle first, and because of that LeBlanc, that's just a free scuttle crap. This might even be a double scuttle start for Kanavi on his Viego.
I mean, it definitely is at this point, right? They have information on where Aki is now. Kanavi going to go through mid.
Might go even further. Here he comes, gets the root down. Cream not paying the respect. Has to flash away, and if it wasn't before, it sure is now.
And that's going to feel so good for the side of JDG. Sure, Akali, not a champion who relies on her flash, but it's still going to prevent a lot of the aggressive options that are able to come out later on. Was going to see if Aki was going to go for this. With the fact that JDG's bottom lane hasn't been heavy traded on yet, it seems like OMG not in any position where they want to look for this. You have no TP on Cream anymore either. New does, but he's still pushing in his wave. So for OMG, they are just going to back off. And I feel like things are going pretty well for JDG so far. You have an EXP advantage on your jungler. You didn't lose out anything on bottom side. None of your lanes are very volatile. And now Yagao going to be in a place where he has prio pretty consistently for the next few minutes.
He does. He has a bit of a CS lead as well. Cream had to teleport in. Yagao has both summoners available. And when we're looking at the mid versus mid matchup, a great start for JDG. Even Kanavi, right? He was able to back away earlier. He's now on the bottom side clearing out his camps once again. And as Cream goes all the way in, I might have to hold my tongue. No mana available for the LeBlanc, and Cream gonna be forcing him back a little bit.
Remember that the difference here is that Cream had already gotten a reset off, came back, has more items in his inventory than Yagao. Yagao also being at a resource disadvantage because he was already missing some health. He was already using his mana pool, and Cream going to be able to use that opportunity to force Yagao back. But he has teleport, so not going to be all too bad for the side of JDG. And now we're looking at what JDG want to do, right? They're already hovering around this mid lane. Seems like they're going to push in aggressively for some deep vision.
Maybe for the Dragon, right, Lyric? Because we do have Dragon sitting there up and available. Lumao spotted on a ward as he roams across, but Cold with a level advantage is sitting here mid alongside the Akali. It just seems like a good time to drop wards and back away, and that's what's going to be done for now. So not punishing the flashless Akali yet. And I like that OMG are trying to play defensive around her too.
I'm just surprised that we haven't seen JDG try anything with their top lane, right? We're seeing JDG so far set up completely differently with this Tahm Kench than we saw IG do. We saw IG roaming Lucas and Shun up towards the top side, setting the Shy up very well to, you know, push it, get an advantage, push it very far, and open up the map that way. But thus far, JDG haven't opted into that. You have prio mid. You can start roaming Yagao from his lane. I think that's what I'd like to see most. And Aki might just get a free dragon out of the lack of action coming out from JDG.
Nice start. Olaf does it so quickly as well, especially with losing the HP and picking up the first dragon of the game as well. And now we just have to wait another minute 30 before the Herald spawns. And Lyric, I want to ask you a bit about what Kanavi should be doing here, because losing the dragon, losing a bit of that easy momentum that was built, feels like JDG now just have to make a better decision.
I mean, now you can tell he's going to set up for that Scuttle Crab that did just come up, so probably going to take that one. Looks like Aki might contest.
That's an all-in.
Cream going for this trade.
That is an all-in. The perfect execution's available. Dodged away. No, it was not. The distortion in the nick of time with a huge question mark. Cream almost solo kills. And after what happened earlier, now you have to imagine that Yagao is going to lose a lot of that CS advantage.
Yeah, Yagao not having the TP now, so just going to have to, you know, get to lane by walking, using his abilities, but going to miss out on some CS. Cream doing a nice job. Didn't come out soon enough to where OMG could have tried to contest for that bot side scuttle, but we're already seeing this matchup flip in this direction very early on. We know later in the game, Akali definitely going to be able to win out 1v1 on that side lane up against LeBlanc. And already coming out, going to get a reset for a blasting wand as well, so going to have more combat stats as well. Not going to get any easier, and his flash is going to be up pretty soon.
It is. And this game's just showing us it's not what it seems, right? You know, you wanted to see the LeBlanc move around. You wanted to see topside skirmishing as well, with Tahm Kench, Renekton involved. It's an Olaf, it's a Viego, who, notably enough, is now 6'2", alongside Zoom. So there's going to be a lot of power up there. Maybe in front of this Herald Lyric, because it is spawning in a couple of moments. We know in the LPL, supports will always look for the roam up towards the top side. Now I'm just going to wait for that unleash of power as we watch both teams concede or move towards the objective, rather.
Yeah, and both bottom lanes are already moving. We see OMG's bottom lane going for a base first. So Abel's actually coming with a stat advantage, sitting on 3 longswords compared to Loken's 1. Good thing for JDG, it's coming off a bounce back off Zoom's wave, so he is prio, he can hover over. Despite what happened with the Yagao earlier on, he still has an easier time pushing in waves, but it looks like we are going to have a skirmish right now. I'm keeping my eyes on the Akali, I'm keeping my eyes on the LeBlanc.
Dredge line start, though. Ragnarok into the back line. Look, he's by himself. It's Lumao getting bursted out, but Tahm Kench with the Abyssal Dive a little bit too late. Kanavi jumps in as well, but OMG are picking apart the pieces. Zoom flashes over the wall to get out, and OMG had a field day for free.
And we saw Cream's Akali getting in there, able to dish out so much damage. Aki as well, doing such a nice job of absorbing, buying time for New to come down. And OMG going to pick up a massive advantage off this, going to get the Rift Herald as well. And I feel like a lot of this is just punishing the lack of action coming from JDG in the early game. When they did have that prio in mid lane, when they could have looked to utilize this LeBlanc more on the map, they'd push him bot, and they just weren't really trying to do anything other than continuously capitalize on Cream.
Is it time to come back to the win comps here, Lyric? Because there's about to be a hell of a lot of gold going over to Aphelios, who already has triple longsword.
I feel like the longer this game goes, the more I like what OMG have just coming out from the Aphelios Braum as well as the Akali. A lot of that is pending on how much work this Tahm Kench can do. Again, this is a champion I feel like we're still going to be learning a lot about every game. Kanavi's on a champion who is able to find resets and just completely take over. But OMG doing a nice job so far with the prio they've been able to take.
Walking around with the Braum. I mean, Braum gets concussive blows easy with the Olaf, easy with the Gravitum on the Aphelios too. Walking as that unit, controlling away Scuttle. And all of a sudden, even though OMG didn't drop the Rift Herald, Lyric, they're almost 2,000 gold ahead at 10 minutes. It's looking real good for the next Dragon stack as well. And this is what we like about OMG, right? Sure, the comp's a little bit different. You still get that dive ability, but OMG have just been such a fun team to watch with comps like this.
Yeah, and we start off by seeing Yagao's Ethereal Chain miss Cream, throwing in the Shroud, just able to get on the backline. A lot of damage coming out onto Lumao. And Aki absorbs so much bot time for Nu to be able to join the fight. Just really nice play coming out from OMG. I feel like for JDG's composition, it's not really about this sort of like hard 5v5 early on in the game. It's about trying to set up with some of the picks coming out from champions like Viego and LeBlanc early on to set up an uncontested objective.
I was going to say, but OMG look like the ones there interested in the picks right now. 30 seconds till Dragon, and Aki and Cold sitting together in the bush as bros do. Deciding to go out, getting sick of the same place. I would too. But Aki now rolling towards mid. Remember, he has a Rift Herald to buy a bit of time as teleport comes through. Might just give the gold over to Cream, which is what he's going to do. And once again in front of the next objective.
I mean, dropping it mid where there's already about 2 plates down, you're going to hopefully give this over to your Akali, and he does pick that up. So soon going to open up the mid lane on the map, which is going to give you access to both quadrants of the jungle. It forces them to have tempo because the enemy team having to respond to the play on mid allows them to walk into the river and take this dragon for free. But JDG sadly not really set up to answer on the opposite side of the map. Maybe we'll see Kanavi start heading up there now, steal away a Raptor camp, or at least try and zone Nu off of some CS.
Get something to get towards this Divine Sunder, right? Because for JDG, they're still falling out. You talked about liking OMG's composition later in the game as well, of what they can offer. It's not like JDG don't have good scaling themselves, but I like how you talked about the pickoffs coming through, how JDG could be more proactive in this game, because they do have to do something, because Dragons are starting to stack. That Herald got a charge. The Akali's in a good position. Kanavi moving to the top side, but it's a Renekton. Hard to dive.
Yeah, not going to opt into it. If they were able to bring a 3-man up here like Yagao, you know, it would be doable, but not going to be able to unlock him from lane. Now, Cream having the Hextech Rocket Belt, as compared to Yagao, who's only sitting on the Amplifying Tome, probably does have some components on his back, but not able to do that with the amount of pressure that Cream is putting up towards that mid lane.
Like that. Oh, he'll take it.
Does he go for it? He won't take it.
It's
he won't
like
take
a
it. Really?
Lee
Nope.
You should.
You know, if it was Doinby, he would take it, he'd get the kill, and he'd spam the timers right away. Or he'd die. We also have seen Doinby solo dive mid and dive. I think that was against IG. But I like that you brought up the point of, you know, JDG's comp definitely not being anything to scoff at later on as well, right? We have the Jinx, and we have ways to capitalize on mistakes, namely being the Viego. So if you're able to get Yagao's burst in there and maybe chain some kind of rocket out from the Jinx, set up for the reset to come out from Viego, that is an avenue where they can take over fights. We hit on how Zoom will have a easy time traversing some of the front line to try and be able to get on Abel. But with the fact that OMG have this advantage, and with the fact that they do have Cream, specifically the one who has the advantage, while lane setups are normal before first turrets go down, they should be able to consistently have prio in mid lane to be able to get on objectives first, like second Herald or next Dragon. And then when we get to the point of side laning, you'll always be able to play around Cream as Aki.
Yeah, especially right now, you look at the gold, you look at how OMG have maintained their advantage. Still close to that 2,000 mark here as turret platings are about to go down into 20 seconds. Not sure how my timing's working here tonight, but I'm getting there. But I want to keep track of these first items because OMG are the ones picking them up first. You already talked about the Proto Belt over that, what is now a lost chapter, but still, it's an item over a half item. I want to look at the 80 carry here because both of them close to picking up that first item moments before the dragon comes up. We've got First item on new. Aki there as well with double gore drinkers. So OMG definitely showing they have the gold advantage in this game. And champions that do well when they pick up their first item too.
And I feel like Mountain Drake will be massive for both sides, right? I think it feels especially good on Zoom. We know how long Tahm Kench can survive, even in 1v5 scenarios with the build he might go. Yesterday, seeing the Anathema's chains is,
nice.
You know, we got it. We got it today, Aster. So you got it today.
See, I thought it was Anathemas. Now I can't even say it. Anathemas. Yeah, Anathemas chains. But apparently no. You said it was Latin, didn't you?
I don't know. It's you Google the word. It means something depressing, and you know, that's that.
Oh, good stuff. On to Cream. How depressing is this play? Because Aki's lying in wait for Yagao. Cream jumps in onto Kanavi, the heartbreaker, but he follows it. Cream all the way as OMG strike another.
Able to find a solo kill out of nowhere. Cream just making opportunities happen. This not only gives OMG a mid lane turret, but it's going to be a free Rift Herald for their side as well. And this gold lead just going to keep growing for the side of OMG.
OMG playing such a fantastic early game. Sure, only 3 kills in 15 minutes. People won't look at this and say that's the LPL way. But OMG are putting on a bit of a masterclass, a clean performance against JDG, against the Kings of 2020. And now with second Herald, with Dragon up in a minute, there are so many avenues here, Lyric, for them to take even further advantage.
I know, right? Especially once they use that Herald, right? Open up a side lane, start having Cream where he can be in long positions where he can really punish. As we're going to see what happened coming out, JDG were actually the team to look for the initial engage. Ult into the first Q comes out. I'm just surprised having enough burst to do this.
Yeah.
Just really exceptional play coming out from Cream. I think at the time he only had the Rocket Belt as well as still just, maybe didn't even have the Sorcerer Shoes at the time, but that would be about it. Kanavi still getting taken down in an instant. And one thing I want to harp on is that I feel like OMG also have an easier schedule than JDG going forward.
Sure.
So if OMG pick up this win, OMG have LGD and top eSports left. Winnable. Compared to JDG, you have to play FPX, who right now look like the best team in the league in current form, and Rogue Warriors, who, I mean, Rogue Warriors can beat anyone right now. Rogue Warriors are a dangerous team.
Yeah, that's right. They could beat anyone. And, you know, Rogue Warriors in their current form, that's scary. So for JDG, not a good start to the series. Of course, remember, it is a best of 3, guys, if you didn't already realize. Into Kanavi again. Cream says he's going in. Takes the Shuriken flip, but it's a bait. A depth charge and no escape over the wall. He has to flash. But JDG are all there. Abyssal dive and Yagao following suit as the Mega Death Rocket doesn't hit its mark, but the chains do. Golden is creme de la creme with a 450 shutdown over to Kanavi. But look at OMG. More proactivity.
Yeah, OMG going to be able to answer with another turret in the bot side. JDG trying to answer with 2 of their own with mid and top turrets. Only Lumaus coming to respond to the spot side play, though.
Aki can clear the wave. Loken's not going to be able to forward push. The Herald with another charge. You know what, Lyric? Hashtag worth in the chat for that one.
Yeah, seriously, opening themselves up to kind of a 3.5k gold lead. Does seem like JDG will be able to answer it a little bit with some of the other turrets coming out. Aki going to keep the one in mid lane alive, but JDG feeling the pressure of having to go for the play somewhere. They know they're not strong enough to contest OMG on their strong side where OMG are dedicating resources, so they opt into looking for the cross-map play, but when OMG has the Herald, that just feels so rough for them. Still, only 3k gold down. Not impossible for JD Gaming by any means, but it just feels like JDG haven't gone for any types of plays. Nope. I don't feel like we've seen JDG really try anything. They kept hovering around that mid lane early on, trying to punish Cream, but OMG were always the team making the correct moves, whether it was in terms of like how they were moving on to objectives or what engages they were able to find. So I don't know if I can have a whole lot of faith in JDG going forward that they're going to be able to create opportunities, especially when OMG are still the ones in the driver's seat, and the fact that they're on slow point.
Do you think it's because the comp does a couple of different things, right? You're talking about a bit in draft. There is good pick potential, but Jinx is kind of left alone in this draft with how it plays out, what Zoom does as well in the comp. Is it comp-based? Are we talking about what JDG are trying to do in this game runs into each other or de-synergizes the game plan?
I feel like the thing is we just didn't see them use their mid-prive to really make anything happen, right? Their bot had pushed as well, so they could have even potentially tried to set up like invades on the bottom side. You are against an Olaf, so I think that would be quite rough as a Viego. You'd probably need to chunk someone out in a lane first to be able to do that to ensure numbers advantage. We could have also seen them take the IG route that we hit on earlier. You know you're facing a Braum down in bot side, so not a lot of all-in threat going to come out from OMG's bot lane.
Yep.
Roam Lumao up towards top side with Kanavi, do a 3-man gank against Snoo, try and get pressure there, try and make Tahm Kench into the unkillable monster that we saw he was yesterday, but JDG not really opting into anything. So they still have the Jinx, they still have the Viego. Definitely still room for plays. I feel like they're going to just have to continuously look for what they did before, right? You're going to be waiting for OMG to show, looking to cross-map on the opposite side. Zoom.
Yeah, here we go. 5-point strike. Not going to be able to take him down. Yeah, it is a Tahm Kench
Aki's
still.
here, though.
At that point, Aki rolling in will just set up for the turret push. You can see Cold also on the way, and the whole of OMG are making their way up, so Zoom has to pay that respect. Yet another turret will go down, making it 5 turrets to 1 here, Lyric, making it a 4K gold lead just about as well. At 20 minutes into the game, OMG are slicing JDG's Achilles heel open, and Baron, the mother of Herald, has just spawned and they're starting it.
Yeah, and JDG in no position to respond. New even going to stand here and try and cut off Kanavi's path. They aren't doing it too fast just now, so it seems like JDG should be able to get here in time.
But it will get faster. Abel has Shurikens, Lyric, so they have to be careful. Dominus to zone them out, turning for the fight. It's Cream. Moonlight Vigil doesn't connect, but they're all in with the Glacial Fissure. OMG have missed quite a lot. This gets dangerous now as JDG start chasing up and Loken starts outputting damage. It was worth a try. OMG tried to turn it, but unfortunately now in a bit of trouble as Aki is the one to start facing his demons. Cold in there as well. Chain will force the flash over the wall. And OMG, man, that got a little bit dicey too quick.
I mean, you said they missed a lot, but it looked like OMG just missed absolutely everything. One critical point about their composition is... You know, Hysterics, you are a nice guy, so I get it. But one critical thing about OMG's composition, right, is it does lack a lot of turn threat. You don't really have any hard engage. You have slice and dice in from New into a W, or, you know, maybe can slow with the Braum and try and get members in there. You know, Felix just hitting with Braum passive, but you need JDG to full-on commit into you. JDG, luckily, hadn't done that just yet. Like you said, I feel like the saddest thing was the Moonlight Vigil not hitting anyone. Had OMG been a bit more patient, maybe could have found something, but they were in a choke point, so could have been very dangerous with champions with lots of AoE abilities on JDG's side.
Well, we'll just wait one more time, though, because there's another fight going to brew. This one has to be fought by JDG in front of the Dragon here, Lyric. OMG will pick up Salt. If this goes down, then massive shield for this team to play with, and for the Olaf and Renekton to really just flourish with as well. JG on the Dragon first, New in a flanking angle. Let's see how this one plays out.
I mean, OMG are the ones who have the setup, right? They have their bot wave pushed out. They just got control of mid. New has an angle to threaten, so they have pressure on. JDG can threaten this pincer move. Cream even coming around from the back. Yeah. I think we need to keep our eyes on the Zakali.
And Dominus has been pulled up. They're going to try and turn onto the top laner. Goldrigger hasn't been popped, and JDG. Target selection perfect as the Abyssal Dive won't get the knockup. Cold disengages. Cream now flying in the backline. Look at that 5-point strike, and look at Abel. The Akali zoning off. Loken in trouble. Flashes away to no success. Cream and Abel, they're cremabling JDG.
And Cream zones out 3 members, which allows for the Aphelios to turn around and focus on Kanavi and Zoom. Still, though, we have numerous members down on both sides. OMG, gotta be careful.
Okie dokie. They have a jungler. JDG do not. But Yagao can burst them out onto Cream. We're watching now for that Shuriken flip. Right in the middle of the Shroud as well. Zoom tanking up as TP. Going to be used to keep the ward alive. Now OMG on the Dragon. JDG getting zoned away. That's the soul here in game 1. Oh my god.
And I'm a bit surprised we didn't see OMG maybe commit a little bit harder onto Zoom. New still has flash up. All your members are there. You take Zoom down. That can even open up a very clear window to take Baron. But instead going to want resets to come out. I guess a lot of your members were sitting on sand and gold from that fight, so we're going to back. We see, actually, Hysterics, what we see is going straight into the replay, yep. So we'll talk about items later. We see here, New just getting bursted out immediately. I feel like with OMG, they could have coordinated this a little bit better with when New walked in, but the critical thing for me is here, Cream distracting Loken, Yagao, and Luma on one side, opening up for Abel to play on the opposite. with both Cold and Aki playing the zoning game for him. Lumao left in a very awkward position between numerous members. Zoom just not able to provide really anything to the skirmish. It feels like Tahm Kench, with the fact that you don't have a ton of like different AoE abilities or like hard lockdown, if you are not ahead in teamfights, you don't offer all that much.
And now it's going to be difficult, right? Because you look at what JDG have to contest with. Baron's up, clear to vision here. I'm looking across the minimap. Pings are going down, but JDG pretty much blind apart from this ward towards the side brush. Zoom sitting bot with teleport, and at least they'll get the turret, but OMG with how strong they are with the 2.5 items on Akali, 2 on Aphelios here, Lyric. They can force this anytime.
And they're trying to bait JDG into the river. They've already denied vision. Yagao spotting it out, though. Ooh, Kanavi. Very close to taking one of those Qs from Cold.
Cream zoning as well. I mean, Cold, you mentioned Cold. He's had a good game on this Brom. Been zoning away, and his teleport comes through finally from Zune. OMG, they've got shurikens at the ready. They jump onto Cream. That's the depth charge, but as he goes golden, he has the Shroud as well. Blown up in the end. That's good, but the Moonlight Vigil only onto the Tahm Kench. Watch Abel now as the source of damages. Zoom jumps away. Lumao goes in. Kanavi's out. Abel now still has the damage, but they're going to try and pick them apart, the pieces. Look at the amount of shurikens. Abel's doing it, folks. He gets stretch lined in. He's the new target, but not forgotten, not taken down. Gravitum available, locks down Zoom, and Abel starts shooting him with a green gun. A double kill while New sends Kanavi outward. And OMG, it looked rough, but not when the Aphelios is full HP.
And it just looks like JDG don't have the damage or the tools to really deal with anyone on the side of OMG. When you look at OMG's comp, JDG's comp, right? A lot of the members want to get straight onto the backline, get straight onto the Aphelios, the LeBlanc, the Viego. When they're not able to do that, OMG just pretty much able to scoff off JDG's damage. And like you're saying, Abel getting a field day, able to do whatever he wants.
I was so confused by JDG jumping in, jumping out. It's like my 5th birthday party. People getting thrown off the jumping castle and you wonder what the hell is going on.
And we start off by seeing Cream get caught out. Nice use of Fog of War coming out from JDG to get this numbers advantage fight. But OMG starting it off right away. As long as they tether and keep Abel safe, everything is just fine for them. Like you're saying, especially with the fact that he does have the sniper rifle, able to just control so much distance. A bit confusing why Zoom ate Loken here. I don't think Loken was in too much threat with the hard CC from OMG down, but gets taken down in the end. Realistically, at this point in the fight, it doesn't feel like there was anything JDG could have done to come back with the fact of that Abel was in such a safe space with members like Cold, Aki, and Nu doing so much to buy space for their Aphelios.
And now as we come back to life with Baron and that Mountain Shield, can't forget that's a pain source here for JDG in this game. OMG pushing up this inner turret on the top side, and we talked about how important this series is. OMG are leading the charge for this game number 1, trying to give their playoff dreams some form of reality. Because at this point, Lyric, it's been since 2017 summer. A little bit early to talk about it, but I feel like OMG have been the strongest team in this game by a milestone. As they start taking down more turrets, using the range, trying to force JDG back here to bridge that goal into 7K advantage.
Yeah, and OMG do have the potential of playing through multiple different lane setups.
Sure.
But I feel like with the fact of not wanting to give JDG a window back into this game with potential threats like the Abyssal
Zoom.
Dive coming out, Zoom might be caught out.
He won't be able to dive away with the concussive blows. That's the Moonlight Vigil with a bit of Gravitum peppered on top. Shield given out, but Zoom is so damn low. Won't be able to heal this one up as OMG moving together as a unit. Who cares about playing sides, Lyric? They're going to group up. They're looking for the stun, but it is just the inhibitor turret.
Yeah, and I want to see how much further OMG are able to take this. They can take the bot inhibitor right now as well. They did take that turret.
Yep.
I think it was about 10 minutes ago now, 17 minutes into the game.
Yeah. Baron's gone, though. Baron is gone to bring the waves in. So we'll have to see what happens.
We're going to see if JDG feel comfortable looking for an engage. Lumao can set up a hook, but again, the name of the game is getting onto Abel.
Rockets that found you. Bit of damage there with the depth charge, but Cream is just in the middle of everyone. Abel, once again, no one's touching the 80 carry. Cream slices and dices his way back in, and he ain't even the Renekton, baby. A zoom to the Nexus, to the Fountain to make himself safe. Yagao jumps in face first, tries for something. Nice devour from Zoom, but is that enough? The answer might not be a yes.
I mean, TP coming out now from Nu. OMG still going to angle for the end.
All right, with New, no Dominus, but He's still a big croc. He teleported in to push the wave in. I guess not yet. They don't want to risk it.
Yeah, 15 seconds until Elder. So OMG being conscious of the timers up on the map, not wanting to risk going for an end, potentially having multiple members die out. And then you're in a scenario, well, not only did you not just win the game, but you are giving an Elder Dragon over to the side of JDG. But, you know, fans don't need to worry, because I'm sure a lot of people were thinking this whole game, why? Where's the action? Where's the blood? But there's an Elder right now. You cannot not fight for the Elder.
You cannot fight for the Elder. Okay. So you have to fight for the Elder is what you're saying. I never understand double negatives. My brain doesn't follow through.
You know, I think a rough thing, Hysterix, is the fact that with those inhibitors being down, JDG don't have a way of like pushing mid or pushing bot to get pressure to try to come off on a flank angle and threaten Able. And when that has been the name of the game the whole time and JDG have not been able to do it, especially with the fact that the waves are set up like this with those inhibitors being down, it's only going to be that much harder for JDG.
Onto Able. Chain doesn't connect. Yagao is the 4-0 mage assassin, who has 3 items, is strong with a Dark Seal, but if you don't hit the spells on top of Able, he stands strong, the Mountain Shield regenerates, and OMG continue to push out the vision, trying to be lined up by JDG. Game 1 hangs in the balance, and it looks all OMG favored as Elder, this time around, will finally be started up.
OMG playing this one very patiently. They do have supers in both mid and bot, so they can take their time with this, put a bit of pressure onto JDG. Kanavi starting to move over now.
I mean, over the wall. There's Yu. He just follows through. Able there with the Moonlight Vigil. Hits 3. And burn, baby, burn is the name of this Felios. Game 1, it doesn't hang in the balance anymore when Cream is solo killing a support. Excuse me, Cold was a part of that, but JDG won't be part of this game for very much longer.
Yeah, exactly. OMG, they don't care about the Elder anymore. They got the kills they needed. They can just push into the base, look for more, and go for the end.
Well, Kanavi's not dead, but he is very low. Elder, forget it for the time being. It's straight through bottom, as you mentioned here, Lyric, and JDG only have 3 alive with the support, rounding up in about 15 seconds, but that won't be enough. Cream on the chase in the meanwhile. And JDG sent packing in game number 1. It's OMG who are calm, cool, precise, concise, and everything that starts with P for a powerful game 1.
And I just want to remind everyone, it is only game 1, but the last time OMG made playoffs, 1,400 days ago. It's been a long time. OMG taking this win can put themselves in such a better position up against a team they are tied in the standings with at 7-6. So critical game win for the side of OMG. Hysterix, you hit on it earlier. OMG just looked like the better team all game long. There was never a time where, despite some of the like how early game was going, with the fact that they were able to get Cream's flash, with like Yagao consistently having the push, they were never really able to set up, or they never did set up for anything to come off the back of some of these like small plays that they did find. Which
is a shame because, you know, when we saw this comp from OMG, you talked about, all right, well, how they can play through picks here as well. Tom, Cancho, LeBlanc, the all-in potential, the engaged potential there too. A composition that if it was proactive, that Yagao could have flourished, that Kanavi could have flourished, but OMG always tempering the game so nicely. I think props go out to Cream through the laning phase after almost getting killed at that level 4, level 5 mark, I think it was. Flash was burned out with Kanavi coming through mid as well, but then almost solo kills Yagao. Gets through, flies through, kills Kanavi. Cream recovered so well once he hit that level 6.
I think Cream, in my mind, definitely the MVP for the side of OMG, but I mean for Able as well, right? Able played phenomenally, but the thing that was more amazing was the fact that Able had 2 Braum shields this game, right? He actually had the Braum shield. Then you just have like new Aki and Cold, who always made this big wall right in front of wherever Able was, and it never allowed for anything to be able to happen to him, right? We would have needed to see like side lane pressure used to find a flank, or TPs to come out, get behind him, but they weren't able to do that. And with the fact that Zoom especially never got ahead on this Tahm Kench, we never saw a scenario where, like yesterday, you can just use that Abyssal Dive, jump right to the back line, and be totally fine and look for the kills. But wasn't ahead. And then at the same time, also, again, those facilitators of OMG just did a really good job of protecting the president.
They did. And, you know, when the president also has a 3rd shield, you know, you said Braum shield of team, Braum itself. You had a Mountain Soul. That also helps out a little bit as well.
And Shield Bow.
And Severum. It keeps compiling here. A good game 1 for OMG. We'll see if they can round it out here in the series, or if JDG had that little something to bring us into game 2.
trying with teams.
Classic.
Let's talk about a couple of the other teams in the LPL before we'll change the conversation to a more global topic and talk power between regions and things like that. I am curious about some of the rosters in the middle of the table on what your takes are, Nelson, because we've got teams like Top Esports, RNG, Suning, BLG, these teams that it feels like we've seen different versions of these teams week on week. Do any of these teams stand out to you as teams that are going to skyrocket? I feel like RNG is kind of a shoe-in to probably make top 4, honestly, at this point. But teams like Suning, BLG, JDG, Top Esports, do any of these teams stand out to you as like diamonds in the rough that you expect to really improve towards the end and do well in playoffs? Or are they not really as convincing as some of the top names?
I think RNG is probably the most obvious one. I think they have found like their way to win. And from what I see, they're probably, in my mind, like the second favorites to win the split behind FunPlus. And I guess top esports as well, right? Because with the roster they have, you can like never count them out. Especially in LPL, where the domestic matchups, basically they don't always go the way they should, because the teams know each other like too well. Like none of the Chinese teams are gonna play like, yeah, I'm just gonna play to skill and play for the macro game only. It is definitely different from Worlds for sure.
Yeah, it does feel. I think Top Esports is an especially good example of that, right? Because even when they draft scaling, they don't always just they don't always wait maybe as long as they needed to before going for plays and just flip Baron at 20 minutes and see what happens. I feel like there's quite a few teams in the LPL that are more than happy to go for that. I will say though, it does feel like the meta is slowing down across the course of this split. It feels like games are going longer more recently, and maybe the more patient teams could be rewarded in the near future when it comes to that. I mean, do you agree with that? Do you think things are going to continue to slow down? Because especially with nerfs to things like Akali in the mid lane, it does feel like the pool of assassins is getting weaker for mid lane, and the pool of these skirmishers could potentially fall off.
I mean, I think it's not. It doesn't. I mean, of course, there wouldn't be any Akali anymore, but it's going to be replaced by Irelia. And you know for sure there are like so many Irelia one tricks in the LPL. So it could be Brief, it could be Bin, it could be Ala, it could be Knight. They're all like insane on Irelia. So I think it's gonna be the next contested pick.
For solo queue, I'm terrified, but from a spectator's perspective, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see people like Knight just taking over games in Aurelia. Sorry, go on.
I also feel like just the idea of like the game slowing down is something that I don't agree with. I can't really wrap my mind around that much. Like, I think sure champions like Ziggs are strong, and Ziggs provides like a ton of wave clear and makes it hard to close. But I still feel like whenever champions like this become strong, or like, right, there should still be ways to draft or like find early game advantages or mid game advantages and still be able to get to places where you could close out the game efficiently, right? So I can't really imagine the game getting past the whole like average of 30 to 35 minutes, like wherever we're at in that equation right now, we're probably like 32 point something. So I feel like we've just evolved to a point of League of Legends and like macro and how teams are thinking about the game, to where it's not about like fast or slow, right? It's about, well, with the champions I have, like, am I playing out the correct like windows on the map to be able to close out the game?
我觉得京东的队伍的话，还是那种比较厉害的队伍，就各方面都挺完善的。然后我们打他们的话，我觉得我们要先把自己的状态调整到很好。我觉得打卡纳比的话，就希望他不要把我搞得太难受就行了。
Okay, well, let's hope that that can be arranged in game 2 as well. Because Aki had a pretty good time in game 1. Kanavi didn't make his life miserable. And running into game 2, OMG now with a lead. As myself, Hysterics, and Lyric will take you through it. Aki picks up MVP after that game as well, Lyric. So it all ties in quite nicely.
Yeah, I mean, nice performance coming out of him on the Olaf, right? Drafts is like really strong early game aggressive jungler, clears extraordinarily fast. Not really giving Kanavi the windows where he was able to punish him at all. And then he was one of those facilitators that we talked about that in team fights really bought so much space, absorbed so much damage, and was able to do his job to set up his carries to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, it was that early game that we saw. It was Aki with the late jungle pick as well. Remember, that was the last rotation on the red side for OMG, and that turned out pretty nicely, even though it could have come a little bit earlier. But the main thing is that Aki has been a lot better this split, and I think the best thing for me, Lyric, is I watched this jungler once upon a time on top eSports. He's come a long way.
Oh, I agree. I mean, heck, I still remember that 2019 split, right? Them subbing in Aki and Moyu coming in. Didn't really have the best, the best of performances. They were all right. You can understand like why they were subs on the top esports roster, but still, Aki definitely finding his footing coming onto this OMG roster. I mean, the fact that you've made a team that when you thought of the bottom tier of LPL the like past 2 years, it was always seems like OMG and then Vici, now known as RA.
Yep.
The fact that someone like Aki has been one of the pillars of making a team like OMG a competitive force is nothing to scoff at. I think definitely a wonderful feat coming out from